So, Jason, we have seen our first CA Distrust event of 2025.
We were expecting some. I think we talked about that as, hey,
I think we predicted that
we
in our
predicted
predictions
it.
episode. Yeah.
We were right.
Yeah.
So there it is. I have questions, but Tim, tell us the details.
Okay, so right around the beginning of June, the Chrome Root Store program announced the impending distrust of two CAs. They are Netlock and Changhua Telecom. Both CAs announced on the same day. Both CA distrust will occur on the same day, which will be July 1, 2025. So up through the end of June, their subscribers continue to get certificates. And as with previous distrust events, those certificates will just operate for their full term. But starting July 1, any cert that is issued by those CAs starting on that day will not be trusted in the Chrome Root Store.
What's the root cause this time?
So it's the same story, which we see a lot, which is there's a general loss of faith in the CA's ability to learn and improve over time and get out of the execution hole it has dug itself in. So in either of these cases, there were a number of failures and errors, a lot of Bugzilla bugs, and not a confidence building handling of those errors. So not handling the bugs very well, not having credible action items that served to fix the problems in a way that it's believable that those problems would be really fixed, and just a general lack of confidence building activity that made other people, including the Chrome Root Store, feel like this is a CA that is going to fix these errors and improve and be compliant and reliable moving forward.
So once again, this isn't a snap decision.
Yes.
It's systematic problems that, okay.
And that is almost always the case with these distrust events. I want to be a little careful about saying always, because there were some unusual ones like PKI, like DigiNotar and stuff like that.
Right.
But in general, that's how it goes, and that's the reason.
No, that totally makes sense. Tim, the long tail of CAs, I'm curious to know what the nature of these CAs were. I'm getting more and more interested in looking at the long tail of the smaller CAs. And I think it was Google in a blog not too long ago who had said, geez, a lot of these CAs don't even issue TLS server certificates. That's which was interesting to me.
Right.
And so do we happen to know what the purpose of these CAs were?
Yeah, so I think you hit a couple things there that are worth drilling down on. Yeah, most of these kind of long tail CAs are regional specific. They're specific to one country, and they're governmental or quasi-governmental.
Right.
And as are their subscribers. So they're issuing certs to the government or to things like utilities or, official state banks or things along those lines. They tend to have a very low certificate count. And from what it appears, they tend to be very thinly resourced. Very few employees, very little resources to put toward their operation.
It's interesting. It seems to be an interesting class of CAs that it's almost like, I know why it's there. Those people are using a browser for something, presumably, and are, if I think about the use cases there, they're probably, they would be in better shape if they were using some sort of self-signed private certificate that they could insert into the root store of the few browsers that are actually using it.
It could be. I think there certainly is that. Absolutely. They could be citizen-facing sites or services. And under those circumstances, I think what you get, again, because these are governmental or quasi-governmental CAs, is there is a feeling in that government that they have to have their own CA, right? Now, that may be a decision that was made decades ago. And so someone feels or felt that, hey, we're XYZ country, we need to have our own national CA. But there isn't a lot of understanding of what that actually implies. There isn't, again, an investment. And so you get yourself in the pickle you have now, where you have a national CA that you think you need to have that's operating critical systems, and it isn't meeting the standards, the performance level that the community expects of it.
That leads me, I think, to the question that we were talking about just before we came on this podcast, Tim, which is, we've talked about the long tail. We've speculated that there's going to be more trimming of that long tail. Are there too many CAs? And I think we should cover that in probably in its own episode.
I think we should. I think absolutely. So let me just make one more about this one, just one more point that's worth making about this distrust, which is this is a continuation of the technology approach that Chrome rolled out last year.
Right.
You'll recall there were 2 distrust events last year, and the earlier of those 2, e-commerce monitoring GmbH, was the maiden voyage of this particular technology. We speculated at the time that they chose a small volume CA to do this because if for some reason it didn't work as expected, the stakes would be low. That's just us speculating. We haven't been told that by Chrome, but I think I'm right on that. And then they followed on with quite a large distrust, Entrust, right? They didn't lead with the larger distrust.
Of course.
So now we've rolled around, we've seen 2 more distrusts this year, and I believe, reading the tea leaves, that some of what we should learn from this is that Chrome is prepared to remove CAs that it doesn't feel are meeting the standard for protection of 5 billion internet users. And we've seen the browsers speak about this on multiple occasions, how they feel that they have an obligation to every human in the world who uses the internet, and that they're the protectors of those people. And though they don't take it lightly, they feel that they will do what they must to protect those people. And I think this is action to go with those words.
That's why it was a fairly safe bet to think that we would see a few more distrust just like this year. And so here we are. Yeah. I don't know, maybe a few more before the end of the year.
I think that this isn't done. I don't know. I would say I don't believe that there's any browser that has a quota or a hit list for distrusts. And I will go a step further. I think every browser will be absolutely thrilled if every single CA in their root store can operate at a level where they don't get distrusted. I think they want the CAs to succeed.
Right.
And also, they're realistic about it, and they know that the CAs may not, and if the CAs don't, they will do what they have to do. I think that's how they look at it. I predict, just looking at still a decent number of CAs that don't seem to understand what's expected of them or don't seem to be able to get it done, I think that more of these will come before either everybody gets scared straight or the ones who can't get scared straight just leave the community.
Right on. Well, there you go. We like to report on distrust events. This is the latest one. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Jason.